standing in my best friend's kitchen pouring a glass of water when she walked in. Not his wife, his mother-in-law, Elaine. She was in her early 50s, but you'd never guess it from the way she carried herself. Sharp eyes, a smile that felt like it knew too much. She leaned against the counter closer than she needed to, and bit her lip. "Keep this between us," she whispered, her voice low, like she was sharing a secret that could burn the house down. I froze, my heart slamming against my ribs. This wasn't some random woman. This was Elaine, my friend's mother-in-law, a woman I'd known for years, someone who'd always been untouchable. And now, she was looking at me like I was the only person in the world who mattered. I didn't know it then, but that moment was the start of something I couldn't walk away from, no matter how hard I tried. Let me take you back a bit. My name's Jake. I'm 29 and I've been friends with Matt since we were kids. We grew up in this small town in upstate New York. The kind of place where everyone knows your business. Matt's like a brother to me. Same sense of humor, same love for late-night drives and bad decisions. He got married 2 years ago to Sarah, this incredible woman who's way out of his league if I'm being honest. Sarah's mom, Elaine, was always around, especially after they had their kid. She'd come over to help cook dinners, babysit, the usual mom stuff. Except with Elaine, it never felt usual. Elaine was different. She wasn't like the other parents we grew up around. She had this energy, this way of looking at you that made you feel seen. Not in a comforting way, but in a way that made you question yourself. She was fit, always dressed like she was headed somewhere important, with dark hair that felt just right, and these green eyes that seemed to catch every detail. I catch her watching me sometimes at barbecues, family dinners, whatever, and I tell myself it was nothing, just my head playing tricks. I mean, she was married, older, and, Matt's mother-in-law off limits in every way that matters. But there was always this vibe, like the air got heavier when she was around. I'd notice small things. The way she'd brush past me in the hallway, her hand lingering a second too long on my arm, or how she'd laugh at my dumb jokes. Her eyes locked on mine while everyone else was distracted. I brushed it off, told myself I was reading too much into it. I was just a guy who helped Matt fix his car or showed up to watch football. Nothing special. But deep down, I knew something was brewing. Something I didn't want to name. It started getting weird about 6 months ago. Matt and Sarah were going through a rough patch. Nothing major, just the usual new parent stress. Elaine was over at their place more often, helping with the baby. I dropped by to hang out, maybe bring a six-pack or play video games with Matt to take his mind off things. One night, I showed up early and it was just Elaine there. Sarah was at work, Matt was running errands, and the baby was asleep. I was grabbing a drink from the fridge when she walked in, wearing this tight sweater and jeans, her hair loose. She didn't say much at first, just asked how I was doing, but her tone was off, like she was testing the waters. I mumbled something about work, trying to keep it normal, but then she stepped closer, her perfume hitting me like a wave. "You're a good friend to Matt," she said. But the way she said it felt like it meant something else. I laughed it off, made some excuse, and left. But that was the first time I felt it, a pull I couldn't explain. Fast forward to last month. It was a Saturday and Matt had invited me over for a barbecue. Nothing fancy, just a few friends, some burgers and beers in the backyard. Sarah was there, the baby was with her parents for the night, and Elaine was helping with the food. I was trying to act normal, but every time Elaine was near, I felt this knot in my stomach, like I was waiting for something to happen. And then it did. I'd gone inside to grab another drink, and the kitchen was empty, or so I thought. I was at the sink filling a glass when I heard the door close softly behind me. I turned and there she was, Elaine. She didn't say anything at first, just leaned against the counter, her arms crossed, watching me. Her lips curled into this half smile, and I swear it was like she could see right through me. "You're always so quiet around me, Jake," she said, her voice soft but sharp, like she was calling me out. I laughed, tried to play it cool, but my hands were shaking a little. "Just tired," I said, which was a lie. She didn't buy it. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell that damn perfume again. "You don't have to be nervous," she said, and then she bit her lip just for a second, like she was holding something back. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break a rib. I didn't know what to say, so I just stood there like an idiot, clutching my glass. Then she leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. "Keep this between us," she said, her eyes locked on mine. "But I've noticed the way you look at me, and I don't mind it." I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. This wasn't some casual comment. This was her saying something out loud that I'd been pretending didn't exist. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but nothing came out. She didn't wait for me to figure it out. She just smiled, turned, and walked back outside, leaving me standing there like I'd been hit by a truck. I could hear the laughter from the barbecue Matt's voice. Sarah's also normal, like nothing had just happened. But something had something big. For the rest of the night, I couldn't look at her. Every time she laughed or touched Matt's shoulder or handed Sarah a plate, I felt this sick twist in my gut. What did she mean? Was she messing with me? Was this some kind of test? Or was she serious? And worse, what did it say about me that I couldn't stop thinking about it? I went home that night and lay awake, replaying her words, her smile, that damn lip bite. I told myself to let it go, to pretend it never happened. But I couldn't. It was like she'd planted something in me, and it was growing fast. The next few weeks were torture. I started finding excuses to go over to Matt's place more often. I told myself it was to hang out with him, to be a good friend. But deep down, I knew the truth. I wanted to see her, Elaine. I wanted to know if she'd say something else, do something else. It was like I was chasing a high I didn't understand. And every time I was there, she'd find a way to pull me in. A glance that lasted too long. A comment that sounded innocent but wasn't. Like one time, she handed me a beer and said, "You look like you need this." With this knowing look, like she could see the mess in my head. Matt was right there, clueless, talking about football or whatever. And I felt like the worst kind of traitor. I started questioning everything. Was I a bad friend? Was I losing my mind? I mean, this was Elaine, Matt's mother-in-law, Sarah's mom, someone who was supposed to be family. But the more I tried to push it away, the more it consumed me. I catch myself thinking about her at work, at the gym, in the middle of the night. It wasn't just attraction. It was something deeper, something that scared me, like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, and part of me wanted to jump. Then came the night that changed everything. Matt asked me to come over to help him fix a leak in the basement. Sarah was out of town for a work thing, and the baby was with her. It was just me, Matt, and Elaine. She was staying over to help with the house while Sarah was gone. We were in the basement, Matt cursing at a pipe wrench when Elaine called down, asking if we wanted dinner. Matt shouted back, "Yeah, whatever's easy," and kept working. I offered to go up and help her, mostly to get a break from the damp basement air. Or that's what I told myself. Upstairs, it was just me and Elaine in the kitchen. She was chopping vegetables, moving with this easy confidence, like she knew I was watching. We made small talk, worked the weather, dumb stuff, but the air was thick with something unsaid. Then, out of nowhere, she put down the knife, turned to me and said, "Jake, why do you keep coming back here?" Her tone wasn't accusing. It was curious, almost teasing. I froze, my mouth dry. "To see Matt," I said. "But it sounded weak even to me." She raised an eyebrow, stepped closer. "Is that all?" she asked, her voice low, her eyes searching mine. I should have walked away. I should have laughed it off, gone back to the basement and never looked back. But I didn't. I stood there, my heart racing, and said, "You know it's not." The words came out before I could stop them, raw and honest, and I hated myself for it. Her smile faded, replaced by something serious, something real. She stepped even closer, so close I could feel the heat of her. "Then what are we doing here, Jake?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Because this could ruin everything." I don't know how long we stood there, inches apart, the silence screaming between us. I could hear Matt banging around downstairs, oblivious. My mind was a mess. Guilt, want, fear all crashing together. I wanted to say something, to do something, but I was paralyzed. And then she reached out just for a second, her fingers brushing mine. It was like a spark, and I pulled back, my breath shaky. "We can't," I said. But it sounded more like a question than a statement. She didn't argue. She just nodded, stepped back, and picked up the knife again like nothing had happened. But her eyes told a different story. That night, I left as soon as Matt was done with the pipe. I couldn't stay there. Couldn't face her or him or myself. I drove home, my hands gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I kept thinking about what she'd said. This could ruin everything. She was right. If Matt found out, if Sarah did, if anyone did, it'd be over. My friendship, my place in their world, everything. But the worst part of me didn't care. Part of me wanted to see how far this could go, what it would feel like to cross that line. And that scared me more than anything. Days turned into weeks, and I tried to stay away. I made excuses, skipped game nights, avoided Matt's calls, but it was like trying to outrun a storm. Elaine was everywhere in my thoughts, my dreams, even the random moments when I'd see someone who looked like her, and my heart would lurch. I was stuck, torn between what I knew was right and what I couldn't stop feeling. Then one night, I got a text, not from Matt or Sarah, from Elaine. It was simple, just an address and a time, followed by, "We need to talk." My stomach dropped. I knew I shouldn't go. I knew it was a mistake, but I went anyway. The address was a small coffee shop an hour out of town, quiet, tucked away. When I got there, she was already waiting, sitting in a corner booth, her hands wrapped around a mug. She looked different, less polished, more human, vulnerable even. I sat down, and for a while we didn't say much. Just small talk like we were both afraid to get to the point. Then she leaned forward, her voice low. "Jake, I'm not going to pretend I don't feel something," she said. "But it's not fair to anyone. Not to you, not to me, not to them." I nodded, my throat tight. She was saying what I'd been too weak to say. "I thought I could handle it," she went on. "But I can't. I'm leaving town for a while. To clear my head, and you need to let this go." It hit me like a punch. She wasn't just ending whatever this was. She was cutting it off completely. And the worst part, she was right. I'd been so caught up in the pull of it, the thrill, that I hadn't thought about what it would cost. Matt, Sarah, their kid, they didn't deserve this. I didn't deserve them. I drove home that night, my mind clearer but heavier. Elaine left a few days later, and I haven't seen her since. Matt's noticed I've been off, but I haven't told him anything. How could I? Some secrets you take to the grave. But every now and then, I catch myself thinking about her. Her smile, her voice, that moment in the kitchen. And I wonder if I'll ever feel something like that again, or if I even want to. So here's my question to you. What would you have done? Would you have gone to that coffee shop knowing it might change everything? Or would you have walked away before it got that far? Drop a comment. Let me know. Music.